Hey there, writer rebels. It's almost Valentine's Day, so I'm in the mood for a little bit of romance. So here are my 5 tips on how to level up your kissing scenes and definitely maximize your feels factor. Hey everybody! If you're here because you're a subscriber, thank you so much and I love you. If you are not a subscriber, you can always hit the box below. And if you're just passing by, welcome to my channel. My name is Scarlett Kol and I give writing tips here every Thursday with the occasional extra video sometimes during the week. But today we are talking about one of my favorite things to write, and that is kissing scenes. I don't write exclusively romance, but every single book I put out definitely has a romantic subplot or element to it because I just love writing kissing scenes and tension and all of that fun stuff. Because I'm a YA writer, there's a lot of books in my category where the physical intimacy level maxes out at kissing, so you definitely want to make sure that it's epic. I don't have any issues with steamy content in YA, it's a little less prevalent than in the adult or new adult categories. But whether you write clean or steaming hot, some of the best scenes start with one amazing kiss. All right, let's get started. First tip is to get yourself in the mood. I'm not saying you have to light candles and put rose petals all over your office, but it is a little bit harder to get into a kissing scene if you have your kids running around or the television's on or your roommate's talking to you. You're just not into it as much as you need to be into it. But that can be remedied by slipping on a pair of headphones and listening to whatever kind of music makes you get in the mood. Except I find there is one better way to get even more in the mood, and that's reading. No, not just because I really like to read and have a thing for Beauty and the Beast. Well, I kind of do. But one of the things that I like to do, and if you saw the backside of all the books up here, they all have flags on the other side like this. So anytime I find a kissing scene that I like, I put in a pink sticky. Anytime I find a fight scene that I like, I use a yellow sticky. And anytime I find a party or crowd scene that I like, I use a blue sticky because I don't like to dog ear pages. But each of those colors are scenes that I use all the time, but sometimes I struggle with or I definitely need inspiration for. So even though I like writing kissing scenes, they are a challenge to get correct every single time. So one of the things that I'll do is I'll pull up some of these books and look for the pink stickies, and I will read probably about 8 to 10 different kisses from different authors. I will try to mix it up a little bit. I'll try to read something really steamy. I'll try to read something really literary. I'll try to read something that's like right in the genre that I'm doing, and I'll try to read something that's a little bit different. And then some of them are just the first book that I find. But reading those 8 to 10 kisses kind of like gets my head in that space of where I need to go with things and how I need to write them. So this is definitely a really good way to get in the mood. And like I said, I do have other tags for other scenes like fights, because fights are a little bit more difficult to figure out and block when you're trying to do that, or party and crowd scenes, because I don't know about you, but when I'm writing large scenes with a lot of characters, sometimes it's a little difficult not to be head hopping or missing dialogue tags, not knowing who's speaking. So I like to be able to see ones that have been done really well. This definitely helps in the kissing scenes because A, it's going to trigger in your brain and you're going to get yourself a little riled up reading all of those lovely kissing scenes. Plus, it's going to help you with the physical words. And now that leads me to tip number 2. If you are a One Direction fan, or even if you're not, they definitely had it right, and it's in the little things. Sure, most of us know how to kiss. You use your lips, there might be some hands involved, all that sort of stuff. The sights, the sounds, but just describing all of that stuff makes kisses kind of generic. So if you want to add some impact to your kissing scenes, one of the things I would recommend is picking some stuff out about the characters. If you can tie it to their personality or the setting or something very specific to your story, even better. So what do I mean like the little things? Here's a good example. Sit back and think about all of the kisses you've ever had in your lifetime. What is it that you remember about those kisses? Do you remember the feel on your lips? Or do you remember your fingers brushing against a scar on their shoulder? Or do you remember where you were and it was cold and it was raining? One of the kisses that I remember the most is back in the day, I kissed a guy and he had been chewing on those pink wintergreen mints. So I don't remember every single detail, but every time I smell those wintergreen mints or I eat one of those wintergreen mints, I'm immediately taken back to that moment. And I remember all of the different things about it that I can't usually recollect on a regular basis. So it was just this little thing, but for me, it triggered a memory. So maybe next time you're trying to write a kissing scene, instead of trying to find something everybody would think that would happen in a kissing scene, maybe try to come up with something a little bit different. You don't want to be a little too different because then it might get a little bit weird unless that's the kind of thing that you're writing. But having those details that are sharp and different and distinct will set your kissing scenes apart from other ones within your own work and within your own genre and other works of that type. One caution though, if you do find something that ties into your book very well or describes the character or something like that, make sure to use it sparingly. I don't know how many books I've read where if they talk about the guy's rock solid arms one more time during a kissing scene, I'm going to throw the book across the room. So if you are going to use distinct details, remember a little bit goes a long way. It's just like using those $5 words in your book. If you use them every second chapter, people get tired of them very, very quickly. But if you can come up with different things, and especially depending on what perspective you're writing in for the kiss, then it will help your scenes level up and feel that much more important to the book and to the reader. All right, so that leads me to tip number 3. Acknowledge your goal and the context of the kiss. If you're writing something super clean or you're writing something, Hallmark Channel style where there's one kiss, it's at the end of the book, it's completely epic and everything is wonderful, then you can pretty much do whatever you want. But a good kiss isn't always a good kiss if it's not in the right context. What is the point of having this kiss where it is? If it's just for steam factor, it's not going to really do much for you. However, a lot of things about intimate scenes is revealing character. Why are they doing this? Who initiated the kiss? What is the point of this? Is somebody trying to tell their feelings for someone without using words? Is it an anger kiss? It is a revenge kiss? Is it something where, somebody is being put up to it and they're shy and there isn't really a romantic thing behind it, and maybe there becomes a romantic sideline behind that. But you need to know what the context is of that kiss. Where are these characters going into that kiss? And furthermore, where do you want them to be when they come out? Once that kissing scene is over, how do you want those characters to feel? If one of your characters isn't going to be into it, then you're not going to want to have this super steamy kiss where you've been writing for like a page about how wonderful it is, and then have your hero or your heroine walking away not happy with that event. So you need to figure out what you're trying to do. Are you trying to bring people together? Are you trying to tear them apart? Are you trying to show somebody's vulnerability? Intimacy is a really, really useful tool when you are trying to expose character traits rather than the ones that they say. People act differently when they're in intimate situations. Somebody who is super, super strong may be very shy when it comes to kissing or holding hands or anything of that nature. Or someone who is super, super shy may be really emotionally driven and super strong in that aspect and, push a little bit harder with their lips and be a shock to the other character. These are definite things that you can play with, and knowing where the context of the kiss and knowing the goal of the kiss will definitely improve how you write those characters within that setting. And further to number 3 is my tip number 4. Not all kisses are the same. You wouldn't kiss your grandma the same way that you'd want to kiss your hero or heroine of your favorite book. The reason for that is because you have different feelings behind that, and there's a different context to the kiss itself. If you do have your hero or heroine kissing 4 or 5 times within the book, the reader's going to get bored if everything is exactly the same every single time. Like I mentioned before about the guy's rock hard biceps. When you mention it in every single kiss, you just get the eye roll from your reader because it's exhausting. You want something new, you want something fresh. By knowing your context and your goal, this will definitely help you to change up those kisses. Some of the things to really take into consideration is point of view. If you're writing multiple POVs or something like that, your heroine is going to see the kiss differently than your hero is going to see a kiss. So even if you have 2 almost identical kissing scenes written in different points of view, they are going to experience things differently. Maybe one character is more in their head. It's more about thoughts. That's very common in YA with a lot of intimate scenes where it's all about the feelings and the thoughts. Whereas another character might be more about the physical, how it feels, how, their chapstick is across their lips, how their hair tickles their neck or their knuckles or whatever. But they are going to experience those kisses differently. Also, let's say you have an adventure story. A long kiss on a stakeout overnight might be long and drawn out and romantic, whereas if your heroine is going off to fight the bad guy, you aren't going to have time to drag that kiss out like that. It's going to have urgency. It's going to be shorter. Maybe they don't know if they're ever going to see each other again. It's going to feel very different, and it should be written differently. So make sure when you're done, if you are writing a lot of kissing scenes, go through them all, read them back to back, and see that they make sense to the characters, but they are different, and then you can sense why they are different throughout the book. If you have a straight romance, obviously the first kiss between a couple should and will feel and sound differently than the last kiss at the end of the book, because there's a familiarity that grows between them in the story, and you should be able to reflect that in your kissing scenes. If you're following my tip number 3 of knowing your goal and context, a lot of that is going to help lead how you structure your kissing scenes. But make sure that every kissing scene doesn't read exactly the same, or your reader is going to get super bored no matter how great that kiss is. And my 5th tip on how to write fantastic kissing scenes is to just go for it. One of my biggest problems was when I started writing kissing scenes is I was very much insert lip A to lip B, put hand C on shoulder D. It was very, very mechanical, very, very instruction manual, because I was really, really worried about going too far. The book that I was writing was relatively clean, and it was a first kiss between 2 very shy characters, and I was so worried that I was going to overdo it. The problem was there was 0 steam in there at all. Readers had been waiting like 80% of a book for this kiss, and it sucked really, really badly. So I had to start from scratch. And actually, I rewrote that kiss several times. And then I was flipping through a lot of stuff on the internet and, reading those kisses and pulling all of my pink flags. And I realized that I just needed to go for it. It's a whole lot easier to tone something down than it is to try and push emotion into it. They do the same thing with sports. I've seen, you have aggressive players and you'll have coaches that'll say it's so much easier than to tone down somebody's fight than to try and put it into them. And it's the same thing with kissing. So I did try to write that scene again, and I did. And then I came across it later and I turned like 18 shades of red in a Starbucks because I kind of embarrassed myself at how steamy I had gotten with that kiss. But it was a lot easier for me to edit that scene than it was to try and rewrite my instruction manual scene that I had originally written. It's because there was no passion in there. There was no emotion. There was no feeling whatsoever, because I was just trying to write the mechanics of the kiss. Plus, afterwards, I was pleasantly surprised at some of the stuff that I had written. Yeah, it was a little bit on the heavier, steamy side, but it definitely inspired me to be able to write something that fit within the book itself, the genre, and the characters a lot better than it did the first time around. Words are always fixable, and that's what edits are for. You can always get somebody else to read it afterwards to see if you've gone too far. But we're our own biggest critics when it comes to that sort of stuff. If you're worried about the level of heat that you're putting into a scene, it's probably not as bad as you think it is because you're trying to censor yourself. So just go for it, write whatever comes to your mind, get into it, enjoy it, and just let the words flow. You can always fix it later. So those are my 5 tips on how to write amazing kisses. So remember, get yourself in the mood, remember the little things, acknowledge the goal and the context of the kiss within that scene. Remember that not all kisses are the same, and just go for it. But if you still find yourself frustrated writing kisses, you can always look for a volunteer to practice, practice, practice. If you liked this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up below in the description box. If you would like to hear more content from me, make sure you're hitting that red subscribe bar. And if you want an email every time I release a video, which will be every Thursday if you don't remember, hit that notification bell. Also, if there are any topics that you would like me to talk about, I will be more than happy to hear about them in the comments below. I do have some ideas if anybody's interested. I recently had my first book club a couple of weeks ago, and I've been working through some of that data. So if you'd like some information on how it went for me and some of the strategies that I used when I had that book club, I can definitely do a video on that. And I do have some other ideas as well, but I'd really, really like to hear from you guys and give you the content that you guys are looking for. So make sure you let me know in the comments, or you can reach out to me on any of my other social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or pop me an email through my website, and I would be happy to hear from you. Now, go out there, write the best kisses, and then tell me what your book is so I can read them. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week.